For generations, our entire understanding of human antiquity relied almost entirely on surviving religious texts and ancient manuscripts. Scholars read accounts of massive cities and wealthy kings, but they constantly debated whether these stories were objective records or highly embellished cultural myths. Without massive physical footprints to anchor them, these legendary empires often felt like fables rather than functioning societies. Words on a page eventually invite skepticism. To prove these kingdoms actually existed, historians needed physical validation from the earth itself. That validation arrived in the 19th century, driven by pioneers like Austen Henley Layard, who abandoned his career to go look for the truth. Layard left modern comforts behind and rode into dangerous, unfamiliar territories, determined to dig for the buried remnants of Assyria. When his spade struck stone, the theoretical became tangible. He uncovered massive fortress walls and battlements, revealing that these long-lost capitals were actual urban centers rather than just literary descriptions. Archaeology gave these accounts a physical location and a measurable scale. We started to realize that these ancient kingdoms functioned as an active, integrated geopolitical network. To the south, the Egyptian empire projected its power through permanence, building its legacy on divine kingship and localized static monuments. But to the north and west, a different approach to power was taking shape. Where Egypt stood still, Rome moved. The Roman state relied on aggressive engineering, rapid expansion, and constant outward momentum. They designed their infrastructure specifically to administer newly conquered territories, extract taxes, and deploy legions across vast distances. You have the static monument on one side and the expanding machine on the other. To survive, these two contrasting systems had to physically connect. This map shows the ancient trade routes acting as the vital circulatory system of the Mediterranean and the Near East. We can track the specific physical pathways that moved grain from the Nile Delta to feed Rome, while returning copper and iron to the Levant. These same physical arteries carried abstract cargo. Languages, new religious beliefs, and cultural practices moved across borders alongside the merchant caravans. The famous Roman roads represent the militarized evolution of this network. They laid down heavy cobblestones to physically enforce and control this connectivity. Emperors commanded from their capitals, but their regimes were sustained by the thousands of miles of roads that tethered them to the rest of the world. Ancient Israel sat at the center of this web. It was a geographical crossroads, making it the perfect ground to test the validity of historical texts. The surviving manuscripts described this region as a highly connected society, burdened by heavy taxation and strictly occupied by Roman military forces. Modern excavators found the proof. They unearthed stone inscriptions that perfectly match the names and titles recorded in those exact texts. Even routine discoveries, like the foundations of ancient tax collector booths and Roman centurion armor, mirror the daily realities documented in the scripts. Here in the dirt of the crossroads, the spade verified the scrolls as authentic, eyewitness accounts of a complex, occupied world. We now possess a third lens for viewing history. We no longer have to choose between viewing ancient texts as unquestionable dogma or dismissing them as pure myth. By combining surviving words with the excavated earth, we establish a new standard of verified history. Finding the same currency and construction techniques thousands of miles apart illustrates an ancient world that was actively connected and interdependent. When we cross-reference the written accounts of the past with the stones beneath our feet, we discover that the trade, law, and engineering developed by these empires still influence the structure of our own societies today.